Okay, so now that we know what a rate of change is, we're going to spend the next couple of videos taking a look at situations where we actually go find it. Sometimes the rate of change is just given to you. Sometimes we have to kind of battle through it. Sometimes we have to do some operations. So you're going to see a little bit of all that. But again, remember what a rate of change is we got to find the change in one quantity, right? Let's call it quantity number 1. And then we're going to measure that in a fraction to the change in another quantity, number 2. Right? And so it's usually, again, the word per is pretty big because there's where the division is. So a change in one quantity versus a change in another quantity. Quantity 1, quantity 2. All right? And again, sometimes the verbalness tells us what the rate is, and then sometimes we actually have to figure the fraction out ourselves. So let's go take a look at some situations. So in the first one, we have Kathleen and Gabe need to find out how many people they can invite to their wedding reception. Algebra Caters charges a fee of $500, and then they will charge $20 per plate. If their budget is $6,400, how many guests can they invite? All right, so we'll answer that question later, but right now all I'm trying to figure out is where's the rate of change? Right? So all these numbers, do I need to calculate it? Is it given? Right? Where's the rate of change at? And right now there's 3 numbers, right? There's a fee that they have to pay of $500, right? And so that's a flat fee just to use the caterer's business, right? And then there's another item, another number, $6,400. Well, that represents a total budget, right? And then the last number, look at real carefully, right? It's talking about $20 per plate. And there's the word per right there. So there is our rate, right? We're basically saying that there's a change, right, in $20 for every change of 1 hour, right? Change in dollars over change in hours, dollars per hour. So basically, right, if we write it like that, we didn't have to work too hard for that one. Oops, not hours. We mean plate. I'm kind of stuck on my... So, per 1 plate, not hours. Sorry about that, you guys. All right, so the rate in this case is $20 per plate. So we didn't really have to work too hard. We just had to read real carefully to find our rate of change. All right, so sometimes it's that easy. It's just given, read carefully. Okay, so another word problem. In this case, the Porter family left for an out-of-town visit to go see their nana and tata. They left their house at 8 a.m. in the morning with a full tank of gas. And after traveling for 648 miles, they stopped at a gas station at 5 p.m. Now let's just assume they didn't stop in between. No stops for gas stations. Maybe they have no kids, all right? Who knows? All right, so, but we'll just go with the story. I know it's probably not realistic, but if you've ever traveled with children before, it's pretty crazy. But let's just assume they were able to travel from 8 to 5 p.m., 648 miles straight. They filled the tank back up with 24 gallons of gas and returned to the road. All right, so that's basically the little story that we have. Whether you believe it or not, that's what we got. So what's the rate of change? Well, we're asked to find the average speed in miles per gallon. So just like a word problem, we're going to identify what my unknowns are, right? We got a change in mileage divided by a change in gallons. So our job is basically to find those two changing quantities for this situation. And when we read the problem real carefully, right, it looks like they changed mileage, right? Their little odometer changed to 648. So 648 miles were traveled. And because they started with a full tank and then later refilled it back up with 24, that tells us that the corresponding change in gallons was 24. So my two changing quantities, right, there was a change in 648 miles, and that took a change of 24 gallons. So there's our ratio. And then, of course, what exactly is this number? Well, let me go ahead and maybe do some long division here. I think 24 goes into 64 at least twice. So 8 and 48. Doing a little subtraction there, I think we get 168. And then 24. How about we try 7? 7 times 4 is 28. Carry the 2. Yep, that's it. So 27. So this means that they were basically getting 27 miles per gallon. All right, so what kind of car they're driving is, pretty good. Right, not great, but decent. Right, so 27 miles per gallon. So that's we had to work a little bit harder to find the rate of change in this situation because the numbers weren't given. Right, there wasn't any language telling me that. We had to build the rate, right, and then fill in the numbers, and then do the math. So sometimes it gets a little more difficult. So the next one, find the rate of gas consumption in miles per gallon. Right, so again, we're asked for a rate, and the language tells us what's changing. Right, we have a change in miles divided by a change. Oops. Let's change that to hour, you guys. All right. I'm sorry, I'm repeating the same thing, right? So change, as a matter of fact, I think I really screwed this up because there's speed and there's gas consumption. So let's just flip these two. Hopefully you guys, so we have the gas consumption up here. Now we're trying to find the speed in miles per hour. I got to pay attention a little more closely. All right, and so the idea is how do we find our change in mileage? Well, again, the change in miles was 648, and the hourly change, well, we went from 8 in the morning to 5 p.m. in the afternoon. So maybe we just kind of count, right? So 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it looks like there was a change in 9 hours. So for 9 hours, they traveled 648 miles. All right, so that would be their average speed. All right, so sorry again for the notation. So to find this, we'll do a long division again. 9 divided by 648. I think 9 goes in there 7 times. And then 9 goes into 18 twice. So how fast were they roughly going on this trip? 72 miles per hour. So I apologize for the slight hiccup. But again, a lot of verbiage there. We could find other rates of change if we thought about it, but the only ones I was finding was the average speed in miles per hour. So the change in miles divided by the change in hours. The numbers were given. One we had to kind of find. The other was given. Do our division, we have it. The other one we had to find the gas consumption in miles per gallon. So the change in miles divided by the change in gallons. And those two numbers were actually given in the problem. We didn't have to fight too hard for that. Do the division, we have our answers. So there's a sampling of how to find some rate of change. It's either flat out given in the language, or we identify the rate of change and then look around for the numbers, or we calculate the number we need. Okay, there's more coming sooner. The problems get a little bit tougher, but the idea remains the same.